I know what you're thinking. Another video about people who wear the nicest watch, drink the finest scotch, sitting on their yachts, using money they've probably inherited anyway. Why should I care about those people is what you're thinking? But hold on a second, because I just recently read something that completely shocked me. 68%. That's how many people who have at least $30 million in net worth responded as being self-made millionaires, according to a 2019 WealthX study. These people did not inherit their wealth. $30 million and they're self-made. So when we think of these people that have a lot of money that they all inherited their wealth, it's actually not true. 88%. That's the number of people who qualify as millionaires who actually are self-made according to a Fidelity investment study. Again, these people did not inherit their wealth. They're self-made. So keep that in mind as we go through this video. A lot of people who have millions of dollars did not inherit their money, they made it on their own. So it took my wife some time to kind of get this concept that a lot of wealthy people do understand. And we don't fight, but we had a debate. And this debate probably lasted about a month. And it was about how much money we spend on a car. And at the end of the day, she really came around and now understands lost opportunity cost. So here's the car we ended up getting. It's a simple Honda. It gets us from A to B. I love this car. It's a hatchback. It's a great car. But my wife wanted a nicer car. Now, the car next to us, the Lexus, that's a much nicer car than this one. Now, she wanted a car, let's say at least $10,000 more expensive. That Lexus next to us is probably $20,000 plus at the end of the day when resale value and things like that. So let's imagine it costs us $20,000 extra dollars. How much does this car actually cost us though? That's the concept of lost opportunity cost, because it's not just $20,000. It's how much this $20,000 would grow to if I invest it in the stock market and then make, let's say, an 8% return. So 20 grand to 8% over the next, let's say, 20 years, that's actually $100,000. That's how much money that decision actually is costing you. So it doesn't end up being a decision of just a $10,000 or $20,000 decision. Lost opportunity cost shows you it's more like a $100,000 decision. Something that wealthy people do, funny enough, is actually discuss their finances together. Funny that my wife and I are over here debating for a month whether or not we should get a more expensive car or not. Turns out that people who are wealthy, they do that. And so that's something that people should do if they want to maybe mirror what wealthy people are doing. So for example, a PNC Bank survey found out that 6 in 10 millionaire couples, before they even got together and got married, they discussed their finances. And 75% of people who are millionaires that are couples, they actually pool their finances together. They share their finances. Now, I did both of those things. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm hoping that these are things that are gonna help me into the future, get to where I wanna be, and hopefully become a financially successful person. Now, talking about finances, turns out it's actually good for a marriage. According to the AICPA, finances are more of a hot topic in a marriage. They cause more tension than things like chores and things like your kids. Imagine, it's the #1 cause of tension in a marriage. So when you discuss it, it's a good thing. Also, according to Emily Gomitsky from Cornell College, couples that pool their finances are way less likely to break up. So, hey, you know what? Maybe you should talk about your finances with your spouse, with your partner. Maybe this is gonna actually lead to a more healthy marriage, and it might even make you a millionaire. So the next thing we have that's important for people to, let's say, start building wealth is budgeting. And I swear this time I'm actually gonna talk to you single people as well. But in order to talk about this, you need to get some ice cream. So we gotta go to the car. Ice cream. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube that say that rich people, they have a budget. And they kind of infer that poor people don't budget. That's a complete mischaracterization. It is not true at all. And to kind of explain what's going on here, finally, I'm here to get some ice cream. We have 2 ice creams. Now, let's say the ice creams represent your total income. Now, the cone part though, the cone is actually gonna be the amount of money that you have to spend on your basic necessities. So food, water, clothing, right? Everything that you need to survive, basically. Well, when you're on a low income, the cone part is basically, it looks like this. There's very little of this white part, and that white part is everything that's left over for you to spend on whatever you want. Unfortunately, this thing's been melting a bit, but imagine it's higher, you know, my analogy would have been better. But imagine that this is a bit higher, and that's how much money people who have higher income have to actually spend on whatever they want. Imagine your household income is $15,000 a year, $20,000 a year. Imagine how much more money as a percent of your income things like utilities costs, things like food costs, things like healthcare costs. It's way higher than someone who makes, let's say, $100,000 or $150,000 a year. It's way higher when you make less money. 10.2%, that's the percent of your household income if you make $15,000 to $20,000 a year that you'll spend on food. 5.4%, that's the percentage of your household income that you'll spend on food if you make $150,000 a year. Imagine the difference. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. When you have higher income, you at least have that extra little piece of that top of that ice cream cone to get you through things. If you're higher income, you should also have a budget, by the way. It's not an excuse not to, but you can almost get away with it. But the difference here between the rich and the poor is the poor, they're gonna be hurt easier than the rich are if they don't have a budget. If you wanna get out of that tax bracket and into a wealthier tax bracket, if you wanna build wealth, if you want to have more money in your bank account one day, you wanna retire on a nice chunk of money, get a budget. I've had a few different budget variations over the years. One point I used an app called Budget with my wife. At this point in time, we're actually just using a simple Excel spreadsheet. It's been working well for probably 2 years, 3 years now, and we're really aligned together. It lessens our stress. We're really basically on the same page when it comes to finances thanks to our budget. And it really does help us feel a sense of relief every month when we go over it and we look at what we're doing, how much we're spending, where we're going. And it's really a big help. And really probably the main thing for a lot of this is that it helps us achieve our goals. Basically, the budget helps us keep on the line, the straight and narrow on the goal that we're trying to get to. We talk about it monthly and it allows us to get to where we want to go and to be on the same page together. Now this brings us to our next thing, which is really interesting. So this guy, Tom Corley, he went out, he interviewed 233 different successful self-made millionaires. What he did was he studied their daily habits and basically asked them a lot of questions to get to know what they do and what makes them successful. So what he found was 80% of those self-made millionaires are obsessed, that's a quote, obsessed with pursuing their goals. So what they do is they basically refer back to their daily goals, their weekly goals, their monthly goals very often. Now my wife and I, we have specific money goals, and every month we talk about our goals. We actually literally just talked about it maybe 3 hours ago and where we're going right now with our budget this month, how we're looking, and maybe some of the projections that we're gonna look at for the end of the year this year. A very important goal that we have is to always save at least 20% of our income every single year. So no matter what happens, really, that's the main goal of our finances. We never want to save less than 20%. Also, we have a pretty good emergency fund saved up. Actually, it's probably too much money in our emergency fund at this point. There's a lot of cash, which we probably should be putting some into investing right now, but you know what? It makes us feel really good to have that cash as well. Now, another big goal that we have is what you're watching right now. This is extra income for me. So I make this YouTube channel. One day, maybe I'll go full-time on this thing if enough people end up watching these videos. But for now, this is an extra income side gig for me. I make extra money on the side. And every month I get a bit of a paycheck from YouTube, mostly from AdSense. Actually, it's all from AdSense. So from you watching the videos, I make some money. And this is going towards our goal. Now, my goal is to make this a lot more money than I'm making right now, because it's not much money, $250 a month on average. So, you know, of course I would love to have $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 every month coming back in from this YouTube channel. At this point in time, I'm not quite there yet, but all of these things are important to have. Having goals, talking with your spouse about those goals, and having a budget and trying to hit those little goals along the way. Your monthly goals, your daily goals, your weekly goals, and your annual goals. When it comes to self-made millionaires, there's actually two different categories. So there are the savers, those who take less risk and basically save up over a long period of time. But then there are the risk takers who are more aggressive. These people tend to be more entrepreneurial. They basically take larger risks. And those were the highest, basically, self-made millionaire status people. They had at least over, I think, $8 million were their net worth. One of the great things about this is that normal people who can basically just save up over a long period of time, the saver category, a lot of people watching this right now, they can become the saver category type of self-made millionaire. So what Tom Corley said was that these savers, they're actually prudent with their money. They save it and they invest it over the long term. You basically don't need to take huge risks, go start your own business, put all your capital into some type of business and risk it all. You don't need to do that. You can save 20% of your income over many different years, call it 30 years, and you can actually save up enough to become what you would call a self-made millionaire. You might be surprised, $3.4 million. That's the average net worth of these savers who basically saved up over 30 or more years of their life, 20% at least of their income, those people had over $3 million on average in net worth. But in order to get there, you have to build habits. You have to basically change your lifestyle so that you spend below your means, you save enough money, and you don't basically spend frivolously. You have a budget, you make sure that your finances are all in order, you hit your goals every year, every month, every week, and you gotta basically make it a mindset. What you really don't wanna do at the end of the day, you don't wanna pretend you have that big ice cream cone with all that extra ice cream on the top of that cone when you really have a lower income. Because obviously at the end of the day, you're not gonna be successful with your finances. You're not gonna get to that, let's say, self-made millionaire status if that's what you want. So here's the thing though, now you know some of the differences between the wealthy and the poor, but the question is, are you actually poor? If you wanna find the answer to that question, I actually tell you in this video right here.